Hello. Welcome to Dan Explains It All. Today we're here to talk about Black Fountain. Black Fountain was the first pedal that Old Blood Noise Nevers released. It emulates an oil can delay. Now, I've never heard one of those. You probably haven't either. It's the type of delay that can kind of sit under your playing. And Black Fountain has always had that really nice delay voice that can almost become a reverb and just has that quality that you want to leave it on all the time. And with this new Black Fountain, we thought maybe we could take that core sound and make it stereo. Add presets, add MIDI control, do kind of all the things that you've been asking for, and a lot of stuff that we just felt like doing because it made it more fun. So maybe we'll talk about the controls. These top 4 knobs are kind of all about the voice of the delay. The old Black Fountain had a mode switch. This one has individual knobs and a lot more control over those sounds. These two here, rate and depth, replace the old fluid knob on the original Black Fountain. Now that fluid knob would change the character of the modulation all at once. It would do rate and depth together. So you can set it as fast or slow as you want, as shallow or deep as you want, and just gives you more control over that modulation, but also some limitations so that it never feels too wild. I mean, there might be some edges that are a little goofy, but it's kind of the par for the course for us, so I think you'll accept that, and we're pretty happy with it. Now, these 2 knobs here, tone and grit, control the overall distortion and tonal character of the delay. You might remember on the original Black Fountain, there was a mode control. It had modern, vintage, and organ, and modern and vintage were essentially different by one of them being a little darker and a little gainier. So we thought, again, let's break it out to a tone and a grit control. So that tone control can help you make it as warm as you want, or even make it a little brighter if you push it all the way up. But the idea is that it's kind of a little warm all the way down to really warm, or a little bright if you want it. And then grit basically goes from clean to driven. The Black Fountain algorithm has a little bit of clipping inherent to it, and we wanted to both soften the edges of that clipping and also let you push it a lot harder. So all the way down, it's gonna stay pretty clean. All the way up, it's practically an overdrive on your delay signal. So those kind of set the overall voice of your repeats. Now you might notice there are 2 knobs that say time. There's time L and time R. That's because the pedal's in stereo. But we didn't want to limit the 2 delays to only stereo mode. So you can access them in mono as well. So there's a few different mono modes. One where you just have 1 repeat, one where you have 2 repeats that run in parallel, and one where the 2 repeats run in series. So the left repeat runs into the right repeat, and then that feedback loops back around to the input of the left. There's a lot of ways that you can combine those two different delay times to create a lot of nice textures, like almost like a multi-tap, dual tap, multi-head reverb. That's not what I meant to say, delay. Basically, you can do a single repeat, so classic Black Fountain style. You can do the 2 repeats in parallel to each other, so that you can set them to different times and hear 2 distinct repeats, or run them in series, where delay left goes into delay right, and then feeds back into delay left. So it becomes almost like a multi-head, 2-tap echo. That's one of my favorite settings on it. All the voice and modulation controls are shared for the 2 delays, but you have those individual time knobs so that you can get a lot of different characters. And you can even bring the time all the way down so that it feels pretty immediate. So if you want this to be a chorus pedal, you can turn it into that. A lot of room to explore with the 2 individual delay lines. And between them is the feedback knob. Pretty straightforward, controls the feedback of both delay lines. All the way down, you'll only hear 1 delay repeat. As you turn it up, repeats get fed back into the input, and so you start to hear more repeats and they trail off until eventually, when feedback is maxed out, it's basically a sound-on-sound looper. The sound doesn't degrade or oscillate, it just maintains. Everything you play, you'll just hear back, repeated over and over and over again as it passes through, and you can create little textural loops out of it if you want. So that's all the big knobs. Let's talk about these three smaller ones. Instead of a mix control, because we found that sometimes mix controls can be a little finicky. It can be tough to get the delay volume exactly where you want and the drive volume exactly where you want. So we just separated those out. Dry volume, wet volume. Set them exactly where you need. Spin your own mix, boost them both, cut them both, whatever you need. Finally, below that, we have the space knob, which sounds a little sci-fi for a old-timey pedal like this, but it essentially controls either your mono modes or your stereo space. So when it's all the way down and you're in stereo, it sounds like it's collapsed into mono. As you turn it up, it separates out the left and right sides, panning them outward until you get a really wide sense of space. And then as you push it past noon, in stereo or mono, it adds a little bit of reverb. Now, it's not a reverb pedal, it's a delay pedal, but you've noticed that I can't help but say that it's a little reverby. And we thought we would just lean into that. So basically, as you push it past noon, it diffuses the repeats a little bit, gives this extra softness, washes it out, and just helps it sit even further as a bed underneath your signal. That kind of covers all the knobs. There's a little preset switch over here. You can do 3 onboard presets or up to 127 via MIDI. And speaking of MIDI and extra control, there's also a lot of ways to set the timing of Black Fountain. So you're not stuck with just 2 time knobs where you have to dial in exactly what you want. If you want to tap into tempo, you can use this switch, click it a couple times, set your tempo. You can also send it MIDI clock. You'll notice there's a MIDI in and out jack, MIDI clock, as well as a MIDI CC to simulate the tap of the switch. There's a lot of different ways to set the timing of this pedal. You can look at your manual or probably some demos for more information on that. And if you are working with a tap tempo and you want to subdivide into triplets or dotted eighths or quarter notes, however you want to subdivide that tap, all you have to do is hold this switch and move the time R or time L knobs, and you'll see these little subdivision indicators so that you can point to whatever subdivision you're looking for. You can create a lot of really interesting rhythmic repeats that way in mono and in stereo. Just a lot of fun characters to unlock. MIDI control can also set any of these knobs, turn the pedal on, off, send tap pulses. There's an expression jack here, and that expression can be assigned to any of these knobs in any combination. So again, this is a pedal that just gives you a ton of control over that core character of the Black Fountain. It's all centered around that one voice, but it can kind of become the one delay on your board. You can hold this switch to max out the feedback momentarily, get the kind of sound on sound looper where again, feedback all the way down, no repeats, or one repeat that doesn't feedback. Feedback all the way up, essentially sound on sound looping, so it's not going to degrade or oscillate. It's just going to hold, and every time you play, that signal enters and does not leave the repeats. And you can access that quickly by just holding this foot switch. There's a 9-volt power jack, requires about 350 milliamps of current. Also, this turns it on and off, so you don't have to be stuck with it on or off. And that's kind of the whole deal. It's available for $299, wholebloodnoise.com, participating dealers worldwide. And that's it. Go have fun with it. I know we did.